Battle of Changsha was the first of 4 attempts by Japan to take the city of Changsha, Hunan, during the Second Sino-Japanese War. It was the first major battle of the war to fall within the time frame of what is widely considered World War II. Background and strategy. The war had reached a stalemate after 2 years of fighting. Professor Fu Xinian noted in July 1939 that while the Chinese army had become stronger, the Japanese army had weakened. On August 15, the 11th Army came up with the general plans for a campaign south of the Yangtze, ranging 250 kilometers from the Xinjiang River to the Gan River. In early September, Japanese General Toshizo Nishio of the Japanese Expeditionary Forces to China and Lieutenant General Seishiro Itagaki set out to capture Changsha, the provincial capital of Hunan. The Japanese 101st and 106th Divisions were deployed on the western bank of the Gan River in northern Jiangxi, and the 6th, 3rd, 13th, and 33rd Divisions marched southward from southern Hubei to northern Hunan. 2 of the primary motivating factors for the Japanese in launching the attack were the signing of a non-aggression pact by their German ally with their Soviet enemy, and the defeat by Soviet forces at Nomonhan. A large attack on the Chinese would therefore restore morale. In addition, Germany's invasion of Poland on September 1 gave the Japanese further motivation to crush China's will to fight in order to pave the way for the establishment of Wang Jingvei's puppet government in central China. Altogether, it became obvious that the 100,000-strong Japanese force was to converge on Changsha. The Chinese strategy was to counter the enemy column in northern Jiangxi and then encircle the line on the path southward. Order of battle for Battle of Changsha. Course of battle. On the night of September 14, 1939, Lieutenant General Ryotaro Dakai's 106th Division drove westward from north of Fengxin, Jiangxi, against Wanbei Bang's 184th Division of the Chinese 60th Corps. After fierce fighting, the defending forces abandoned Gaoan. The bulk of Japanese forces then moved northwest to assault Sandu, Ganfang, and Zhushui. In coordination with Nakai, Lieutenant General Shigetaro Amakasu's 33rd Division assaulted Guanlingzheng's 15th Army Group from the south. Having recently captured important strategic locations in Jiangxi Province, Japanese troops began their attacks on Changsha in earnest on the 17th of September. Japanese 101st Division and 106th Division started marching westward towards Changsha in neighboring Hunan Province. Meanwhile, the 3rd Division, 6th Division, 13th Division, and 33rd Division invaded northern Hunan Province to put additional pressure on Changsha. However, the Japanese stretched too far out westward and were counter-attacked by Chinese forces from the south and the north, forcing them to retreat eastward. On the 19th of September, Japanese forces proceeded to attack Chinese defensive positions along the Xinjiang River with poison gas, even though its use was prohibited by the Geneva Protocol. After having recovered Kunqianji on the 19th, Wang Yaowu's 74th Corps and Song Qitang's 32nd Corps retook Gaoan in a counterattack on the 22nd. On the 23rd, Japanese forces drove the Chinese out of the Xinjiang River area, and the 6th and 13th Divisions crossed the river under a cover of heavy artillery, advancing further south along the Miluo River. East of Changsha, naval vessels landed the Shanghai Special Naval Landing Forces and portions of the 3rd Division, surrounding Changsha on 3 sides. Heavy fighting continued afterwards and the Chinese retreated southward as distraction for the Japanese, while supporting battalions arrived on the east and the west for an encirclement maneuver. By the 29th, vanguard troops of the Japanese 6th Division had reached the outskirts of Changsha. However, due to the heavy casualties they had incurred, estimated at over 40,000, with a significant portion being fatalities, as well as the dangerous possibility of their overstretched supply lines being completely severed from constant harassment, Japanese forces were forced to withdraw across Liaodao River. Acting Group Army Commander Guan Lingzheng issued orders at once for 52nd and 73rd Corps to pursue the Japanese to Milao River. General Zhu Yu ordered a general counterattack on October 3 in pursuit of the Japanese who were south of Chongyang and Yueyang. On October 5, Chinese troops shot down the Japanese aircraft with orders from General Yasujio Kamura to call off the Changsha offensive, and the nearby Chinese 23rd Division attacked a Japanese Navy port at Yingshan, damaging several vessels. By the 6th of October, Japanese forces at Changsha were decimated and retreating. 2 days later, the remnants fled northward over the Milao River while the Chinese 195th Division of the 52nd Corps pursued them across the Xinjiang River to recapture their former forward positions. At night, the Chinese launched raids into Zitang and Yaolin. By the 10th of October, Chinese forces had completely regained their former territories in northern Hunan Province, southern Hubei Province and northern Jiangxi Province. Conclusion: Changsha was the first major city that did not fall to the Japanese advances. The commander of the city's defense, General Zhu Yu, who was a graduate of Whampoa Military Academy and loyal to Chiang Kai-shek, soon gained prestige from his victories at Changsha. Retaining the city allowed the Chinese to prevent the Japanese from consolidating their territories in southern China.